This is All Things Caregiving from Breathing Spaces.
Hi, my name is Cindy Mariner. I'm here today with my co-host, Cindy Gum. Welcome to All Things Caregiving. Cindy, it's great to see you again today.
Good to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, wonderful. So in our last episode, if any of you have seen that, if you haven't seen it, please go back and watch it. We had some great content on there, but we had the opportunity of Cindy was asking me about breathing spaces, how that all came to fruition, and my caregiving journey, which was caring for my mom, and watching her care for my dad, before they both ended up passing away. And Cindy, I think today I'd love to hear more about your caregiving journey because it was different than mine. We know that caregiving as a blanket statement has ups, downs, sideways, regardless of who you're caring for, which is part of the reason that we started breathing spaces. There is a common denominator. But I would love to hear more about your story, because there are variations on the theme, no question about that. There is a difference between caring for a parent and caring for, in your case, it was your husband. So please let us know, tell us about your journey,
How I
Cindy.
got here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you. Well, I'm thrilled to be here because my mission now is to be of service to other caregivers. I would love to help other caregivers just manage mostly the emotional side of caregiving, not so much the physical. I know that's there. There's a lot of support around that, but my biggest difficulty in being a 15-year caregiver, a spousal caregiver, was more of the emotional. And my husband passed away New Year's Eve of just before the pandemic year. It was
Mm.
2020, but he had died of a neurological deterioration, not of COVID. But after he passed, I knew intuitively I'd learned some very, very important things, but I needed to find my words. And I had a deep desire to make some kind of meaning out of what I had learned. And if I could, share what I'd learned with others. So I had a deep desire to be of help with what the experience had taught me. So I spent the first year journaling. I would write letters to him, which was a wonderful way for me to continue to feel connected to him. And I still write in my journal to him. But the first year I got into touch with what I wanted to do was help caregivers by creating a journaling circle, a way for caregivers to learn the art of reflective journaling so that they could manage the emotional difficulties. That had been my
Mm.
challenge, and it became my focus. So Stanford had a program through the Center for Compassion and Altruistic Research and Education, in short, called CCARE. And they had a year-long program where I could pick my own pilot program, my idea, and get the support from Stanford and their faculty to help, or the CCARE faculty to help support me in creating a journaling group. So I got started and did a year-long program, developed a pilot group of other caregivers who wanted to also journal.
Mm.
And then we met through a friend, and I said, I'd love to do a journaling circle for you on breathing spaces. And that's what brought me into the family, the team that we've got. It feels like a family to me,
Mm.
because we're all kind of related at the heart level, but I think we all deeply care about being of service to caregivers. So I guess for me, it's all about, especially spousal caregivers, but other, caregivers as well. But spousal caregiving has unique challenges. I'll just name one,
Mm.
uh, to throw that out there. The kinds of things I'll be talking about in my journaling circles, which people can find, on your website. Just
Right.
sign up for it. It's free. I love to see people. But one of the most important things I learned was about loss and all the different losses that come out, of a caregiving journey for spouses, for both. Um, one of the ones that I had not seen before after Stan passed was the loss of verbal intimacy.
Mhm.
Stan was older, he couldn't hear very well. In any marriage or relationship, if you lose the acuity of hearing and being able to really communicate, pretty soon you just kind of give up. And that was a big loss. So, what I like to do is help people name, claim, and validate their emotional experience and then examine those experiences, reflect on them, and then decide what are my options here? How do I want to hold this? What kind of support do I need? It's a little bit like self therapy in our journaling circles, but that's where I come from. That's what brings me to this podcast. I love hearing caregivers' stories because we don't have to have the same experience, as you know. All we have to do is find some kind of a harmony that we get in sync with, that we translate and transpose to our own story. And I think it's so helpful to hear others' stories. And just what's going on in the caregiving community. So I hope we just kind of explore it all. And I'm just thrilled to be here with you as a sidekick.
Well, we've we've formed a
Yeah.
wonderful relationship. Right, right. Cindy, I'm curious. I know because I've attended some of your journaling circles, and the way that you take that journey is a little bit different. It's not a Dear Diary type of journaling circle. And I do want to get back to Stan here in just a moment, but what can you explain to our audience in a little synopsis what that journaling circle, really the process that you go through?
It's really about working with difficult emotions
Mm,
that come up. And I usually do a guided inner journey, which everyone really does enjoy, including myself. They're written specifically for the theme that we might be talking about, which could be the verbal intimacy, or just talking about the losses. One thing is expectations. So we would have a theme. And then the blog that I write at the first of the month talks about the theme that we're going to be journaling about in the middle of the month. It's the third Saturday. So, and then we have prompts. I offer prompts, and then we have group processing for those that want to participate. Sometimes you just pass and you listen.
mm,
Uh, but it's really for processing the emotional side of caregiving and the challenges in a very safe way,
yes.
respectful way,
Mhm.
but asking tough questions sometimes. But I wish I had known what I later found my words for. It really would have helped me, I think, a lot on my journey. So if I'd had the concept and the idea, I would have worked with it, which is what I hope people do with the concepts. And what I learned is to let them marinate and then see how you want to cook them.
Mhm. I love, Cindy, what, we've been through so many talks, and one of the things that I love is you and I sit down and start talking and it's hours later and we're still going, because there's so much, there's so much to the art of caregiving is what I will call it. And the beautiful thing that you've done with the journaling is to open that up to anyone. It's a concept because it's a wonderful concept that I love because it's in as a caregiver, there's other people surrounding you. Number one, that they're attached to you, perhaps on your caregiving journey, but also all of us are caring for ourselves. And that was a
Yeah.
wonderful piece that you brought up to me. And I thought,
Oh, I
it's
got
brilliant.
that from my journal. I was
Mm,
journaling one morning and it just kind of imploded. And that's the way I do reflective journaling process, but it
right.
just kind of imploded. And I said, wait a minute, I've got to call Cindy. We're all caregivers here. So everyone on the planet could be caregiving themselves.
Yeah.
And I know because I'm a licensed, marriage family therapist that boy, I'll tell you, the biggest critic out there for everybody is their own inner critic. And that doesn't serve you well when you're a caregiver. So I just say, please join us on this journey. We're all going to learn, and you and I are going to learn just as much.
Absolutely, without question. And I love that you did that. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, we are
And
all those.
and thank you. One of the things that I wanted to bring up, you are a licensed marriage and family therapist, right? And I wonder, how did that play in, or did it play in as you were going through your caregiving journey with Stan? Was it a plus? Was it a safety net? I mean, how did that play into what your caregiving role?
It really probably was both, I
Yeah,
think be both. Um, I still was a journaler. I've been journaling almost 40
yeah,
years.
yeah.
So I feel as though my journal got me through those 15 years by being my ground and my anchor, and especially connecting with my inner wisdom, which is very important to me. So I think my interest has always been a very much of an inside job, internal focus, trying to see, what and trying to understand, but beyond that, looking at, how do I want to hold this? How do I hold pain and suffering and still live fully alive?
Mm,
It's a dance, and I'm still
right.
learning. But that's the truth of caregiving. There's pain and suffering, and it'll differ for you and me and everyone listening. Our pain and suffering differs, but how we hold it, how we respond to it, and how we manage to do this journey is kind of an intuitive process. There is no caregiving 101 manual. So
Yes, and that's you and I have spoken about this a number of times. There's a lot of caregiving manuals out there. And there are wonderful people who have put those together. And on some level, I think for both you and I, it's a different journey to learn how to navigate caregiving. It's more about that introspection. It's more about being able to talk to someone else who's been through this journey. Um, to listen to yourself in the way that you allow people, guide people through the journaling process. It's about what this unit humanness is going through during this process and acknowledging it.
yeah, that's what's important to me is that
Right, right.
validating the truth of it.
Yeah.
We it was so hard. I didn't so many times I never did live up to the expectations I had until I finally realized I didn't have to. So it's again, it is really a journey, and just it continues to unfold for you, I know, and for me. And
Absolutely.
yeah, it's just like we're just inviting people to join us on the journey.
Yes, absolutely. And we both know very well that the caregiving journey doesn't end when the time when your loved one passes. It's just a chapter in it because the caregiving journey continues really. Whether you're processing emotions, whether you're reliving times that you've been through, whether you're mourning the loss of the loved one that is no longer here, it keeps going. And that's why we encourage folks at Breathing Spaces. Many of the folks that have been with us for years have lost their loved ones, and we encourage them to stay with us in the care circles or the journaling or some of the other components that we have to offer because we don't want you to feel alone.
Yeah, I want to make one point there that have learned in working with others, and that is that I walk tenderly around a loved one because there are times in my journey I question, do I really love this guy still?
That's a good point.
So painful. And
Yeah.
I can tell those who are struggling with that, I can really help with that because I've learned that, yes, you do. Usually, what you're angry at or resentful or just fearful, is very valid. And depending on who you are, your reaction. But yeah, for me, I have a lot of respect for those that are caring for someone because they do love them, but they could be having a really tough time with that
Yes.
person. So I used to read these books and it would say your loved one, and I would go, I'm not so sure I do.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that point up because it's a very true statement. It's
Yeah,
very true.
it
And
was for me.
oftentimes you may be caring for someone that you don't love.
Or
You're
like
just
even like it could be
right.
an obligation or duty.
Yes.
And so important to name it, claim it, validate it.
Yes.
It's your truth. Now, How do you want to go forward? How do you want to hold it? How do you want to be? So that you're not going down. I used to say, I feel like I'm going down. So how do you want to hold it so that you don't go down? You can at least float until you can get up.
Right, right. And I think that's another episode, Cindy.
I think, yeah,
I
well,
think
we'll
we
have a lot
can.
more to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. So by all means, folks, stay tuned with us. We've got a number of different guests that are coming up. On some of the folks are from our team that have their own insights to share with you. We have caregivers themselves. We want to hear your stories. So if you're a caregiver, reach out to us. We would love to have you join us. This is a short episode on purpose. We know your time is valuable. But the intention here is to give you a little ray of lightness. I won't say hope, I'll say lightness. Being able to hear the stories, being able to hear how the navigation happened for other people. It's a little bit of a lifesaver, as it were, just to know that you're not alone, regardless of who you are, who you're caring for. We're here for you. So, Cindy, once again, love being with you. It's always a great time to be able to chat with you like this. So thank you for joining us. And everyone out there, please know that we are here for you at Breathing Spaces. The programs that we've got to offer for you, join us. Join us on one of the journeys. Come back here on the channel, write to us, give us some input. We'd love to hear. You want to hear about something, let us know. That's what we're here for. We're here for you. So thank you, Cindy, always.
Okay, thanks, Cindy. Bye.
Bye-bye.
This has been All Things Caregiving from Breathing Spaces.